Hey Oaks Church, I hope that you're doing well. I wanted to make a video to walk through some of our plan. On Sunday I announced that we're going to be moving to two services on August 11th. That will be a 9 a.m. and a 10:45 service. We're going to have equip classes going on at the same time, all of our kids' classes going on at the same time, encouraging every person to participate in every discipleship opportunity that is going to take place during that time on a Sunday morning. And with all of that being said, with this shift in the life of our church, wanted to just make a video to give you some of the details on why we're making that shift. I'm going to do another video on how we plan the logistics to work for that, and I'm going to make another video that will hopefully answer some questions that might still be remaining. Now, when we purchased this building, it was our desire that God would use this place as a tool to bring restoration through the gospel, that we'd have the opportunity to see more people reached, to better serve our church family. And by God's grace, that's exactly what has happened. Matthew 16, Jesus says, "I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." And Jesus has been faithful to keep that promise for years, for decades, for centuries, and we've been blessed to see him keep that promise right here through the Oaks Church in Cincinnati. That also has presented some good problems. And while good problems are better than bad problems, there's still problems that need to be solved. And so as our elder team has thought through this, as I've prayed through this, as we've come together as team leaders, as staff, and really just thought about our best options moving forward, it was clear that moving to two services was our best option. If we were to, not do anything, we would inevitably have to turn people away. There have been numerous Sundays over the past 5 months that we've met in this building that we've had over 80% capacity in our worship center. That does not communicate to someone, we want you here, we have room for you here, if they can't find a seat. So the option is not to do nothing. We could just do the overflow room each week, and we did that twice in the spring semester because we had to. And at the same time, we don't believe that watching a worship service on a screen in another room, separate from being able to worship in person, is our best option. Third, we could plant a church, and Lord willing, God will allow us to do that in the next few years, but we're not there yet. We don't have somebody that's ready to plant. And so our fourth option, which is the best option, is that we go to two services so that we have room for people, so that we can be hospitable, so that we best shepherd the people that God has entrusted to us. And so right now we're in the process of saying, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is the reason that we're doing it. And while the main purpose for doing this is to make room for people that are not here yet and to best care for the people that God has provided, there are also some other reasons that this is going to be a really beneficial move for us. First, we want to love our neighbors. And, one of the things that, as we were having conversations about this, Hunter had mentioned that he invited one of his neighbors that lives a few streets away to join him on a Sunday morning. And his neighbor said, "I've actually already visited the Oaks, and it was so crowded that whenever I left, I decided I wasn't going to return." Now, that's an actual example of somebody who entered one of our worship services, had a difficult time finding a seat, and said, this probably isn't the place for me. You see, an open seat is an invitation to someone that visits. It communicates, not only do we have space for you in our worship service, we have space for you in a serve team to use your gifts. We have space for you in a missional community group. We have a space for you in this church family. And so we don't want anybody to walk in and feel like there's not a place for me here. We don't want a family of 4 to walk in and not be able to find a seat together. And for many of us that have been around the Oaks for a while, it can be really exciting when we have those Sundays where we're packed together like sardines. But that can be intimidating to someone that's new. We want to be a church that thinks about those that are coming in as a first-time guest or seeking to find Jesus. We don't want to be a church where it's just kind of catering to the people that are already bought in and excited about what God is doing here. We also are excited that this move will make the best use of our resources. If you think about it, we are going to pay the same mortgage. We're going to have the same staff. I'll spend the same time each week preparing the sermon that is preached on Sunday, and yet we're going to be able to have up to twice the amount of people in the same building that we're already paying for. we're going to have more people served by the same staff that we have on, in our church. We're going to have more people hearing the sermon that is being prepared for the same amount of time. This makes the best use of our resources. We're also excited about this move because it means that if you serve in one of our kids ministry areas, you don't have to miss the worship service. We're very thankful for everybody that currently serves in our kids ministries and is willing to serve for that entire block of time on a Sunday and miss the singing together, the preaching of God's word, taking the Lord's Supper. But it's not ideal that you would come to church on a Sunday and that you would miss that. And so we want you to be able to serve 1 hour as you have, but then to be able to sit in that other time slot and to be a part of the worship service. We're praying that in doing so, this will just increase the consistency between our kids ministry volunteers and the kids that they serve. I mean, imagine, you're serving in there weekly and now all of the kids know your name. They know who you are. Imagine, you are serving in another ministry area. You're at the Connect table and you say, I'm going to serve at the Connect table weekly now because this is a new rhythm. And I recognize people that visited for the first time last week, and I could say, hey, I'm so glad that you're back this week. I think this will increase consistency and confidence in all of our volunteer areas. And this also means that if you're one of our kids ministry volunteers, we're asking you to say, I will serve at the 9 a.m. hour for this entire semester, and in Baby Oaks, in Little Oaks, in Junior Oaks, and I'm going to attend the 1045 or vice versa, to sit one and to serve one, so that we can create those deep discipleship relationships between our volunteers and our kids and be able to really build a robust ministry, to continue to build a robust kids ministry. In addition to going to 2 services, we're also going to be multiplying our Oaks Kids classes. So what has been Little Oaks will now become Little Oaks Lower and Upper, and what has been Junior Oaks will now become Junior Oaks Lower and Upper, so that we can begin to break out those age groups a little bit more and have a little bit more tailored instruction for those particular age groups. We're also excited about the fact that this move will increase and open up new leadership opportunities. Right now, because we have 1 service, because of a lot of our leadership positions are filled, there's not a huge need for new leaders. But moving to 2 services will now increase the need for Sunday leaders. And so we're asking you to prayerfully consider stepping up into one of these leadership positions. If you're not a team leader, know that some of your team leaders are going to have conversations with you in which they say, hey, I want you to take ownership of a portion of this ministry because I see this gifting in you and I think that you can take it and run with it to the glory of God. We're excited about the opportunity to do that and pray that you would maybe see God's hand in calling you up into that position. I know that this will be a big shift, but this is one of those times that because of what can be gained by this, because of the great picture of bringing restoration through the gospel and stewarding well the growth that God is bringing to our church, it's totally worth it. I think about the number of times that our missional community group has multiplied. At this point, I think we've done that at least 5 times. And every time it's difficult. At the end of every semester, it's difficult to say, hey, this is kind of our last missional community group together, and I know that you're going to start a new one. And at the same time, to look at the people that went out a semester later, now leading, now connecting to people that I wasn't personally connected to in our missional community group before, I stand back and every single time I say, this was worth it. And at the Oaks, we believe that healthy things grow and growing things change. So this is one of those times that God has made our church healthy. And because of that, our church is growing. And because our church is growing, things are changing. And this is ultimately a good change. Does it require sacrifice? Yes, but ultimately it's for what God is doing here in the life of our church. We often say that sacrifice is giving what you love to gain what you love more. And whenever we multiply an MC, what do we love more? We love people getting connected in discipleship relationships in that group. We love people stepping up into leadership positions. So it's worth it. We sacrifice what we love to gain what we love more. This is a time in which we're sacrificing something we love, right? The way that things currently are to gain what we love more. And that's to see the mission of God spread throughout Cincinnati. That's to see more people come to faith in Christ. That's to see more people baptized during our worship gathering. And so with all that in mind, we're willing to make changes. We're willing to endure difficulty. I've compared it somewhat to the way that our personal family has just grown. Many of you know that we just welcomed baby Hope into the world, and now we are a family of 5, no longer a family of 4. And that's been really exciting for us. It's also caused some things to change. That means that now our oldest son, Brooks, is in the 3rd row of our SUV. He's a little bit closer from the air conditioning. He has a little bit less leg room. It means that Brooks and Charlie are having to share mine and Abby's attention a little bit more with this little girl that is now a part of our family. It means that we've reconfigured our schedules and we're doing some things differently, and our plans don't quite look the same. There are some things that have changed, and at the same time, it has been worth every single bit of it. Why? Because our family is growing, and that's really exciting, and that we get to love this new little girl, and she has our last name, and it's exciting that we all get to do this together. In the same way, there are going to be changes that need to be made. There are going to be ways that maybe our attention is divided, or we're having to figure new rhythms out, but all of it is worth it for the great goal of glorifying God and making disciples by bringing restoration through the gospel to Cincinnati and the world. So I'm excited to link arms together to do this. If you are interested in kind of the details, there's a written out description that I've linked below. You can also listen to the next video and watch it on kind of the logistics of how this is all going to work out. And then if you still have questions, I'll do kind of a question answer run through in the 3rd video. Thanks for watching.